I want to quickly talk to you about the Defiant Lawyers Network, and this is a pretty good legal success story, and I wanted to really dig a little deeper into that. So, I want to first give you the generality. So, if you think about the Defiant Lawyers Network, I want you to think about a pretty good story of father and daughter collaboration. Fantastic. Okay, so basically, this is a bold, unapologetic legal podcast and YouTube channel designed for today's lawyers, legal reformers, civil rights advocates, and truth seekers who actually dare to challenge the system. That's what I love. I love the fact that they are staying true to their defiant nature, to their defiant vision. Okay, so this is not your typical legal commentary. What they do here in at the Defiant Lawyers is that they amplify the voices that disrupt, defend, and defy. So the three Ds, okay? Disrupt, defend, and defy. So whether you are an attorney pushing back against the system in terms of injustice, or you are a whistleblower, or you just let's say a curious citizen looking to understand the real story behind high-profile legal battles, the cool thing is that you have a platform that's actually there to help you out, to help you understand things. So the Defiant Lawyers Network brings you actually into the legal trenches where the war for justice has been fought. So you can see right off the bat that the niche that the Defiant Lawyers is concentrating on is a little different from your typical legal podcast or YouTube channel. Okay, so this is kind of cool. So what I love about the Defiant Lawyers is that they've stayed true to their purpose, to their motto since day one. Okay, since day one. So basically, on this channel, you have defiance, you have courage, you have clarity, you have change. So in terms of defiance, their philosophy, their core philosophy, actually allows them to profile legal professionals and activists who actually challenge systemic corruption, judicial overreach, and unjust laws. In terms of courage, they give voice to the attorneys who take the hard cases, stand alone in courtrooms, and make enemies by standing on principle. So it's all about staying true to their values. In terms of clarity, they break down complex legal issues in plain language for the everyday listener. And in terms of change, they aim to not only comment on the system, but to inspire reform through awareness, advocacy, and action. So this is pretty fantastic. So if you think about the Defiant Lawyers Network, what kind of details should you be thinking about? First of all, I want to give you an idea about the featured interviews that you are likely to see on this channel, or let's say on this podcast. So you have civil rights attorneys, okay? And those are weekly, in-depth interviews. Those are not daily. They don't post daily. They post weekly, sometimes bi-weekly, depending on their schedule, depending on also what the what the headlines actually call for. So you have civil rights attorneys. So those are weekly, in-depth interviews with civil rights attorneys, public defenders in high-stakes trials, okay, whistleblower lawyers, attorneys who have faced disbarment or censorship for challenging the system. Again, they are staying true to their defiant motto, defiant ethos, okay? And also, they have a weekly in-depth interviews with judges or former prosecutors turned reformers, okay? So that's the first category. You have featured interviews. You also have case files, injustice exposed. So here you have real-time analysis and storytelling of controversial or even mishandled cases, okay? And this includes police misconduct lawsuits, wrongful convictions, judicial corruption, constitutional law violations. So this is an important element to think about. You also have defiant debates, and those defiant debates have been pretty popular on the channel, by the way. So you have those are long-form discussions and debates on hot-button legal issues, and topics here may include free speech versus hate speech, the weaponization of the legal system, prosecutorial misconduct, and lawfare and political trials. You also have a legal breakdown series. So those are bite-sized episodes that demystify legal concepts for a lay audience. For example, what is qualified immunity? how grand juries really work, and what happens when you sue the government, for instance. Those are topics the public might be interested in knowing about. And sometimes you have solo rants commentary on this channel. So those are short, direct monologues on breaking legal news, exposing media bias or hypocrisy in the justice system. Let's talk about the great work that the Defiant Lawyers Network is doing on YouTube. Let's first talk about it. So on YouTube, they have about 259, 265K subscribers. Okay. So that's something to really think about. And I mean, and they have about 500 to 600 videos. They have amassed millions of views through their YouTube channel. I'll speak about the podcast later on, but I just want to focus for now on the YouTube channel. So when you go on their YouTube channel, the Defiant Lawyers Network, their strategy is pretty clear. The platform strategy is pretty clear. So I want to talk quickly about their visual formats, their weekly schedule, and also their live stream events. How they actually what's their vision about their live stream event? Okay, so when I say a visual format, for instance, you have cinematic interviews, so multi-camera, moody lighting. So this really sets the tone already. You have courtroom and legal footage inserts, so that's pretty good. And again, this is done in a pretty sophisticated, pretty professional, manner. So that tells you a lot about the team behind this channel. Those are pros. You have a bold typography and animated legal diagrams, and you have split screen virtual interviews for remote guests. Okay, from time to time they have remote guests, and they're trying to accommodate them as much as possible. In terms of weekly schedule, they actually have shows on a weekly basis, but sometimes more than once a week. So, for instance, on Monday they will have a legal breakdown, 5 to 8 minutes. On Wednesday, they'll have interview or Defiant debate, and this is a longer one, 20 to 45 minutes. And on Friday, they have Injustice Exposed. Here you have a case feature that goes from 10 to 20 minutes. So this is really good. And in between, they have live stream events. So legal panels on landmark Supreme Court cases, real-time coverage of high-profile trials, and they have Q&A with Defiant lawyers. So this is pretty good. So that's for the YouTube channel. Let's quickly talk about the podcast. So if you think about the Defiant Lawyers podcast, you have a pretty strong podcast too, pretty well followed. Okay, and it's the same thing. It's the same ethos. They are providing unfiltered, courageous, and insightful conversations about law, justice, and systemic reform. Okay, I'm speaking about systemic reform, a reform of the system, the justice system. Okay. And all this is happening from the perspective of lawyers, activists, and insiders who dare to defy the status quo. So the ideal episode here, when it comes to their podcast, it's a little longer than their what you see on their YouTube channel, except the Defiant debate. Okay, so here you have a podcast that goes from 30 to 45 minutes. Here you have deep interviews and case analysis. And sometimes they also have 10 to 15 minutes for solo commentary or legal breakdowns. And they might have occasional long-form episodes, more than 60 minutes, more than 1 hour for panels or multi-guest debates, depending on the topic. Again, it's one of those things where you have to really, like the host, the Defiant Lawyers Network host, pay attention to what's really happening, what their audience might be interested in, okay? Of course, there are some segments that are more powerful than others, okay? But on the podcast, you have, for instance, Defiant Voices. Those are really popular on the podcast. Broken Justice every now and then is kind of popular too. Legal Mythbusters is actually another section that's really good. Inside the Courtroom, Whistleblower Chronicles, this is really good also, and the Defiant Debate. So the Defiant Debate actually is a civil discourse on controversial legal reforms. Whistleblower chronicles are stories from insiders who risked it all. Inside the Courtroom actually explains courtroom tactics and lawyering secrets. Legal myth busters attempts to debunk common legal misconceptions. For Broken Justice, you have a deep dive into wrongful convictions or corrupt trials, and the Defiant Voices are actually interviews with lawyers who have taken on the system. Okay, and this is important because Defiant lawyers wants to, the network wants to really, really sort of reform the system. Let me talk to you about the host bio. So there are two hosts on the show. Okay, so I want to first talk about Augustus Corbett, and this is actually the Defiant Defender. And this guy Augustus is a pretty talented, pretty sharp lawyer. Okay, and what I love about this professional is that he's a multi-dimensional expert. He's a civil rights attorney, for instance. He's a pastor. He's a legal educator, and he's actually a voice for the voiceless. And he's been so for the last whatever years. It's so many years. Okay, so one thing you will love about Augustus Corbett is that he's actually founder of the Corbett Law Firm. Okay, and so he brings 20 to 25 years of experience in the courtroom and the community. So where he has fearlessly represented civil rights, like clients in civil rights cases, criminal defense, family law, and more. So this is someone who has credibility and authority in different niches. Okay, and so one thing I love is that he's also a pastor. So his legal advocacy is actually rooted in a deep spiritual and moral conviction. Okay, so and he actually went to a North Carolina Central University School of Law. So that's his alma mater. Okay, and he's actually licensed to practice law in several states. That's really cool. And what I love about Augustus is that he's constantly like innovating in terms of how he reaches out to his target audience. Okay, so that's the first co-host, and the second co-host is actually his daughter, Chloe Corbett. Fantastic, wonderful, talented lawyer as well. She's actually seen as the justice strategist. So where Augustus, her father, is seen as the defiant defender. The daughter, the justice strategist, is pretty talented too. So she's she's known for her sharp intellect when it comes to legal matters. Okay, and she's a practicing attorney at the Corbett Law Firm, where she represents actually a new generation of lawyers who refuse to play by the rules of a broken system. So this tells you this is a great family partnership that works fantastically. Okay, and what you will love about Chloe is that she's able to articulate like complex legal matters in pretty accessible storytelling. And she's been doing this for the younger generation. Really fantastic. She's also a speaker. She's an educator. She's an advocate for criminal justice reform. So let me talk to you about the extras here. If you think about the Defiant Lawyers Network, and you talk about Augustus and Chloe, the cool thing is that their target audience is pretty clear, but they are constantly expanding their target audience. For instance, they appeal to legal professionals, to activists and advocates. That's really good. You have civic-minded citizens, you have whistleblowers and reformers. So when I say legal professionals, you are speaking about attorneys, law students, paralegals, and scholars seeking unfiltered commentary. Okay. In terms of activists and advocates, you have civil rights and social justice advocates looking for legal insight. So that's really fantastic. And for civic-minded citizens, those are people who care about democracy, law, and freedom, but distrust traditional media. And whistleblowers and reformers, those are fighting the system from inside or outside. So this is really fantastic. Okay. The cool thing about this the legal podcast slash YouTube channel is that their brand voice and identity is pretty clear. The tone is bold, intelligent, raw, and passionate. Okay, the visual style, black and bold, branding. So you have legal symbolism, scales, gavels, broken chains, subtle rebellion cues. Okay, and the music is pretty good too. So this is really fantastic. And by the way, the channel is also present on TikTok. I mean, they're not as big on TikTok as on YouTube, but they're gradually actually growing there as well. And they are having potential collaborations between between them and legal aid and public defender offices, civil liberties organization like ACLU or Innocence Projects, whistleblower protection nonprofits, law school clinics, as well as independent journalists. So this is really fantastic. It gives you some idea about what they were really working on big time. So what about monetization here? If you think about the Defiant Lawyers Network, of course, they make money from their own website. I mean, the Corbett Law Firm. So this is actually because they have a day job, right? So those are two pretty accomplished lawyers. The father and daughter, they're pretty accomplished lawyers. So they make money through their craft by actually providing legal services. That's number one. Number two, and see, the thing is, the podcast slash YouTube channel serve as a great conduit, as a great way to brand, to market the law firm, the Corbett Law Firm. That's how they get leads, qualified leads. That's how they get potential clients. Number one. So besides their day job, they also monetize this channel through AdSense. So YouTube ad revenue. So think about it. They have more than half a million, more than half a million viewers. That's pretty huge. Okay, so that's really. Oh no, by the way, not half a million. They have 259 to 265K subs. That's still a lot anyway. You know, if you were to compare it to other YouTube channels. So based, including this one. So this is pretty strong. And so with that scale, with that size of a channel, chances are they're reckoning tens of thousands of dollars every single month in terms of revenue, because they are able to actually make money through the millions of views they have accumulated since the channel started. So that's number two. So you have regular day job as practicing lawyers, YouTube ad revenue. You also have podcast sponsorships, so they can partner with legal tech companies in terms of case management tools. For instance, they can partner with law schools. They can partner with advocacy groups. They can have a partnership with books or films on legal topics. They also have affiliate marketing. Okay, so here they can promote legal research platforms, for instance, Case Stacks or Fast Case, legal education tools such as Bar Prep or CLA, or civil rights and activist merch. You also have donations via platforms, so that's another way where they actually collect some revenue. So Patreon, Buy Me a Coffee, or YouTube Join button. Okay, and here you can have bonus episodes if you're a member. You have behind the scenes videos. You have monthly Q&A with hosts and early access to interviews. So here you have you can pay anywhere from $5 a month for community or $10 for exclusives. You also have merch, even though the Defiant Lawyers Network hasn't actually worked on their merch strategy yet as others, because when I compare and contrast what the Defiant Lawyers Network is doing now in terms of merch versus what others are doing, like if you take a similar legal podcaster such as CLR Bruce Rivers, this is really is like day and night, because Bruce Rivers has mastered the craft of merch. Okay, so this is something to really the Defiant Lawyers need to think about, but it will probably come at some point. They're also making money through digital products and toolkits, speaking engagements and panel fees, live events, virtual or local, YouTube channel memberships. Okay, So this is kind of cool. So overall, a pretty solid organization. So in conclusion, today's conversation, I spoke to you about the Defiant Lawyers Network. I'll give you the generalities, the details, the YouTube channel, the podcast strategy, the host bios, and the extras, monetization, and conclusion. Thank you so much. God bless you. I will see you next time. Until then, remember, stay marvelous.